Hello and welcome to our channel, and in this video we're going to be telling you how you can travel with your dog from the UK to France or anywhere in Europe that is within the Schengen area. This video is going to be for you. For context, we've travelled with our dog to 8 different countries in the last year and a half, and we've actually travelled from the UK to France and back twice in the last year and a half. So we know a little bit about how to cross the border, what's best, what you need to do, what you need to know, and then also going on through to Europe as well. So make sure that you like, subscribe and save this for later for your next trip to Europe if you're planning one or one in the future, so that you know what to do when you get there. You said that you need to subscribe and like this video for later. Oh, that's not mine. So grab a drink, grab a dog, and let's get started. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do, and this is something that should be easy for most dog owners, is you need to make sure that they are microchipped, and this needs to be in date. And it's also quite good to know where the microchip is on the dog, so that when it comes to scanning them, it makes it a little bit of an easier process rather than going all over your dog. Most dogs have this. It's kind of a requirement most of the time. So step 1 should be super easy. The next, we're going to go on to vaccines. So vaccines are the most important part, obviously, of getting your dog into another country, because every country region is different. And this also matters when you're coming back into the UK. Okay, Moo has gone. It's now just us. So every country is completely different. As I said, we've traveled to so many different countries. We've traveled outside of Europe as well with our dogs. So making sure that you know the requirements for the country that you're going into is super important. But I can tell you, so for France, you need to make sure that they've got the rabies vaccine, which is not something that is required normally. So most dogs don't have this. So making sure that you go and get your rabies vaccine. And then the other vaccines that you need are the ones that they get at birth. So your vets can recommend this. I'm going to put them on the screen here because they've got really long words and names that I don't know how to say, but these are the ones that you need to have. One you get every 3 years and the other one that you get every year. So making sure that they're in date on the time that you're traveling is super important. For example, Moo and I have literally just gone today to get this one done again because she got it done last year before we traveled to Dubai, and obviously it's out of date now, so she needed another one. For rabies though, it's super important that you get this at least 21 days before travel. If it's less than 21 days, then they will not be allowed in the country. So making sure that you do this ahead of time is so important, because if you've planned a trip for 2 weeks time and you don't have rabies, then unfortunately you are going to have to postpone that. The rabies vaccine does cost, and it's anything between 100 and 140 pounds depending on the vet that you go to. But once you've got it, it's really, really important to make sure that you get the certificate for this, because you will need this when you are crossing the border. Also alongside this, when you get your rabies vaccine, to make sure that you get all of your other vaccines printed out as well, the original copies signed and dated by your vet. It's really important that they are signed, stamped and dated. They are really funny about this. It's like one of the funniest things that we found is if it's not dated, if it's not signed, they get funny, and making sure that it's the original one. But we can come back to this and the next step anyway, because we can bring it all together. So if you haven't done this and you're looking to travel soon, then make sure you're booking your rabies vaccine with your vets and getting this done. Once you've got it, it lasts about 3 years though, so it should be fine, but just making sure that you keep it up to date. Then what you actually need to get into Europe, the UK do not do pet passports. However, you might be in that category where your dog still has a pet passport. That is a completely different procedure, which I haven't done. So if you've got a pet passport, that's a completely different, I guess, experience. But for those that don't, which most people don't, you need to get what is called an AHC, which is an animal health certificate. And this needs to be done 10 days before you travel, or at least 10 days before you travel. It can't be done any earlier than this, but once you've got it done, you can then travel within the 10 days. But for example, we got this like 2 days before we traveled to France last time. And when you go there, it's basically just like a checkup with your vet. But to note before this, it's really important that you check with your vets that they can actually do this, because there's a specific travel document that you need to fill out, but also they need to have a travel vet, I guess, someone that's like specialized in being able to sign off like dogs for travel and going technically being imported into another country. So making sure that your vet does this. We have used Medivet in the past, and then also Creature Comforts as well. These are vets in the UK, specifically in London as well, that do this. Medivet I know is all over the country. Make sure to make them aware of this before you go, so that they can do the document for you, get it all printed and sorted, so that when you go for your appointment, they've got it all and then you can go through it. So in this appointment, basically they're going to do a checkup of the dog, make sure that the dog is all okay, fit to travel, all of them kind of things. And then they're going to sign off everything on there. So they're going to stamp and sign and fill out the document in front of you with everything that you need. So when you leave that office, you should essentially have your AHC, your animal health certificate, which is essentially like your passport, all stamped and signed on every single page. They're funny about that, and dated, as well as your vaccination records. So your 2 certificates, or however you document your vaccinations, with the vaccines that you need to enter into France, into Europe. So once you've got all this, you are ready to go. So how we usually travel across to France with our dog is via the Eurotunnel or the ferries. We have opted for the Eurotunnel both times because we've been driving and it's a lot easier of an experience. However, the ferries are just as good and just as easy as it is to do the Eurotunnel. So for the Eurotunnel, it costs us around £23 extra to add a dog onto the booking. And once you get there, there's literally a whole pet check-in and it's super easy. It's really obviously signposted, so you cannot miss it when you get there. For the Eurotunnel specifically, you drive in, there's a pet check-in, you go to the pet check-in first, and that's when they check all of your documents. Once you get in there, they'll scan the microchip of the dog, they'll check all of the documents. I believe they might stamp something, they might not, I can't really remember what they do, but they will just check everything. Once it's all checked, they give you like a little slip. You can put this on your car to basically say that the pet's been checked in and there's a pet in the car. And then you go through and you do your normal check-in for you guys. And then once it's ready to board, you obviously do the UK border, the France border, and then you're on the train. And then once you're on the train, 35 minutes, and then you drive off the other side. Super easy, you're in France. So once you're in France, you can then pretty much go wherever you want in Europe. With the animal health certificate, I believe you have 90 days in Europe with your dog, meaning that they can roam between any of the countries in the Schengen area. That's really, really specific. You've got to check which countries are in it. But for example, Germany, Italy, Austria, these kind of countries, you can drive through and you won't get checked at the border because it's all within the Schengen area. And you can drive through and all of your documents will be legit and will work if you ever get checked. But when you're returning to the UK and you're going from France, there are a few things that you need to do before getting back into the country. So the UK require a tapeworm for any dogs that are coming back into the country. And this is like a tapeworm tablet that needs to be administered by a vet no longer than 5 days before you enter the country, not before 24 hours. So what I mean by that is once you've got the tapeworm administered to your dog, it cannot go back into the country within 24 hours. It has to have 24 hours and then it can enter the country. And then you've got between that and 5 days to enter the country. So pretty much 4 days you've got from that point onwards to enter the country. So for example, when we last did this on our last return, we got the tapeworm on Thursday and we re-entered into the UK on the Sunday. So we took our time to drive back to the border and cross over into the UK. So depending on where you're traveling from in France, you've got a bit of time to get to the border and you don't have to rush. But what I would advise is finding a vet near the area that you know you're going to be in before you return to the UK to make sure that they can do this. Now, the vets that we've used in France are all really aware of this. They all know it's quite a common thing. So it shouldn't be too abnormal for them to hear this. But booking them into an appointment and just saying, can we get the tapeworm administered by a travel vet on this day and our papers signed as well? And again, just like the UK, it needs to make sure that they've got a travel vet or someone that can actually administer this information, sign these documents and give her the tapeworm. Literally just a little tablet. When you go in, they do again another little bit of a check on them, give them the tapeworm, they go through the documents, done and seen this before, they sign the bits that they need to sign, and again, stamped and dated. And signed is so important on every single page, but they know the bits that they need to fill out. There'll be like another section that is on there that is for the French counterparts, basically. Once this is all done, you can then make your way back up to the border, and it's the exact same, the other side of the Eurotunnel. And I guess the same on the ferries as well. There's a pet checking. You go, they check all the documents, make sure that it's all been signed and done, and they give you that approved thing that you can put on your car to say that the dog has been checked and they can go back into the country. So that's it. And if it all goes smoothly, then it's a really simple process. It can sound more complicated than it is. And making sure that you plan ahead of time is key, making sure that you're not stressed and overwhelmed, being in contact with your vet, and also being in contact with a vet or knowing of a vet in the country that you're going to so that you can get that on the way back in. I would say that is probably the most peculiar part. It's just making sure that you have got that you can go to in France. But yeah, that is everything that you need to know on how to travel with your dog from the UK to France and beyond. If you've got any questions, then leave them down in the comments. And if you'd like me to do another video on how to travel with a dog, paperwork, ECT or anything like that, then again, please leave it down below. And if you like videos like this and you want more information on how to travel with a dog, then make sure you subscribe and follow along, and I will see you in the next video.